there, welcome back to eBEFOREi Video Reviews. As I'm recording this video, it's Christmas Eve here in the United States, so if you celebrate Christmas or anything else this time of year, happy holidays to you and your family. That out of the way, we're here to discuss a full-on review of the brand new Planet X CAELUS. Now, who is CAELUS, you say? Well, it's actually a third-party release, so it's technically not a DINOBOT Swoop from Fall of Cybertron. Yes, I'll tell you what, if you've played the Fall of Cybertron game, you know that Swoop plays a pretty large role in the game, and we never got an official release from Hasbro or Takara from the winged Dinobot. So Planet X came along, and Planet X is the company, if you're not familiar with it, they're the company that made the very, very excellent Fall of Cybertron Not Omega Supreme, which was a wonderful toy. So this time they tried their hand at a smaller, kind of a deluxe scale, Dinobot to match Fall of Cybertron Grimlock. Before we take a look at him, here's a quick look at the box, and you can see that the box, and you really don't know what you're looking at here, but this is the chest region of CAELUS himself. So this is the bird-like head. The actual robot head would be up there. You've got the coming down to the body and the pterodactyl feet and so forth that kind of come up on his knees. So that's what you're looking at here on the box. On the back of the box, you have an awesome piece of artwork. And I mean, this looks like it's straight out of the video game. So very, very well done there. Inside of the box, you've got this neat look at really what is the back of CAELUS. It also looks like something that would open up and a Dinobot would come running out. But it actually looks very, very close to what is behind him. So you have a front shot on the box and a back shot inside. So kind of neat. Now let's take a look at CAELUS himself, or Swoop, we shall call him. But what a completely wonderful figure. I should also mention that inside the box, you've got a little card here that has that great piece of artwork that you saw. And then on the back, you've got his technical specs. We'll go through that real quick. His strength is a 5, intelligence is 7, speed is a 9, endurance is 6, rank is a 5, courage is an 8, fire blast a 5, and skill is a 6. Alright, so on to the figure itself. The figure does come with the set of instructions, and these are complete garbage. Throw these away quickly. I mean, these are the worst. I'll tell you what, if there's a contest for the worst instructions of 2013, this takes the cake. You're going to be really confused. So just watch my video for help. He actually comes packaged in robot mode, so take what I do here, reverse it, and you'll figure it out no problem. Let's take a closer look at Not Swoop. The head sculpt here is wonderful. His mouth does open up and close, so that's pretty neat. His whole head's on a hinge, and we'll get into the full articulation in a minute. On the bottom, there's very little kibble. I mean, there is kibble, but it's not killing the figure by any means. You can see that these are his arms kind of pegged in. These are his legs. On the Generation 1 version of Swoop, his legs actually flipped over onto his back, and so this is just the exact opposite of that. We've got weapons pegged in here on the side and weapons underneath the wing. These come off and combine in all sorts of neat ways. We'll touch on that. And just detail all around. You've got this thruster in the back. All kinds of neat stuff going on here on the wing itself. I mean, this thing looks like he comes, like he's a dinosaur from Cybertron, if there would be such a thing. I guess that would be a Predacon, but these guys aren't. Anyway, it's confusing. Lots of little movable flaps. You have his little pterodactyl hands here, which are a bit of a cheat, as you can see. They just kind of fold up under the wings. But again, just wonderful, wonderful detail in this figure. Now, as I mentioned, the weapons do come off, and he comes with 4 weapons, and this very, very closely matches the Fall of Cybertron Grimlock sword, and we'll do a straight-up comparison of that in a minute. But all these unpeg, and you have straight-up pterodactyl bird look here. You can pivot the head up and down. Now, this is the robot head, just like Generation 1 Swoop. This is the bot head that just kind of fits in back. Now, on that, there was only so much movement you can do, and notice when I'm moving it, I've got my finger holding this up because it doesn't snap into place. So if I wasn't doing that, then I've got a head reveal there. So that could be seen as a little bit of a bummer, but certainly no deal breaker. I'm just happy to get pivot movement out of this thing, which we didn't get as much of that before. The wings are articulated in some very cool places. You've got the pin right here, and then you've got joints there, and there, and you can really do whatever you want. I mean, you can straighten these things out and get him in real pterodactyl type mode. You can take his feet, and these are on pivots right inside, and a pivot on the feet themselves, and so you can take these and swoop them back, so to speak, and get that kind of thing going, which is fantastic. The size of him is interesting. I'm saying it's more of a deluxe size, but in bird mode, especially with the wingspan, or pterodactyl mode, he really is closer to a Voyager-size figure. Here's Fall of Cybertron Grimlock, and you can see just, wingspan alone, he's taller, and really fits in well. Now, when he transforms into robot mode, he's going to be pretty tiny. He's back at the deluxe scale. So, and I don't think it's necessarily off, but know that he's a pretty decently sized pterodactyl and a pretty smallish deluxe-sized robot. Some more detail. You don't really have much paint on the figure, although you do have some. You've got these bits right here that are painted more of a kind of a tannish color to match the feet, but that is paint. You got red on the tips of the wings. I'm going to get real close up in here. You've got black up in there, and inside you've got the red paint, which almost looks like those kind of fired up exhaust entry points, and that's pretty neat. You've got red paint right up there along with the black ball type thing around it. So much detail in this toy. Also for articulation, these things move. They don't move much, and they pop off real easy. But you can put these down or put them up and do various things with them. Kind of sharp, so if you're giving this to a small kid, first of all, don't. This is kind of expensive. And second of all, if you do, this is sort of sharp. And you poke that into your finger, you're going to bleed. Just FYI. There's some neat light piping up in the eyes themselves, and if you look inside of the mouth, you see the light pipe bit kind of screwed up in there. So if you get him under the right light, it's shining down into his head bit and kind of lighting up his eyes. You sort of see it from that angle, the way that that's working there. So that's kind of cool. More articulation. You can take these hands from pterodactyl mode, and they're on pivots as well as the hinge themselves, so you can move those around. And again, the wings, you can just kind of get creative and do what you want with them. You can also, if you want to sit him up on his feet like I started this review, you can put these all the way up and bend these in. And I mean, there's all kinds of configurations you can do with the wings. On the back, I should mention that you've got a little splotch of paint there. But you've got these pieces, which are really supposed to be like the back wing more so than feet. But those move up and down and do some things like that as well. Let's get CAELUS transformed. To do that, we've pegged in... Ouch, I just stabbed my finger. That's very sharp. I suppose we can start by putting those down. So just put those flush up against his body and go ahead and bring these down while you're in there as well. You can then just bring the wings all the way up, like that. You can come down here, and these are his arms, and these are pegged in. He's got a little peg right there and a slot right there, and you want to just pull that out. Rinse and repeat on the other side. Pull out, take it out, and just kind of pull those up. You come down here to what become the legs, and these are pegged in as well. They're pegged in right there. You got a little peg and a little slot, and they reach right up into it. So you want to go ahead and pull these down. Do the same thing on the other side. All right, then what you want to do is you want to take this little peg piece, you want to flip it just like that, come around to the side, close this up, come to the front part, take this little hook, put that inside, and then straighten that out, and you've built the foot. Do the same thing here. You're going to pull that out, flip this piece inside, put that forward, and you've got the foot. Now, he is backwards at this point, so you're going to take him and just not the waist, but the legs themselves, and you're just going to spin him around. Now, the pterodactyl feet, if they're up or in the way, they're just supposed to be pushed right up against the leg just like that. Now, he's not as squat as he's appearing because there is some configuration to do here in the chest. You want to unpeg the wings, and the wings are pegged into the red bits, and you want to just pull those out, and you can see that there's a little peg right there, and that goes into the slot right there. So you want to do the same thing on the other side. Just unpeg it, and you want to bring this whole part up. Good luck figuring that out on the instructions, but you want to bring this whole thing up and plug it back in. But before you do that, you want to come into the chest, and you want to, this is on a dual hinge pivot, So you want to bring this up and over like that. Now there's a slot on the side right there. So when you bring this up, you want to peg that into the slot. Do the same thing. And basically you have more of a, you've got a better proportioned chest that way. Now, because we've moved these bits up, when you take the wing hinges and move them up on his back, you'll now find that those are going to slot back into those tabs. So go ahead and tab those in. So we got one tab hooked. Going to come in here and do the other tab, and we've got that in. Then you want to take these feet and you want to push them inside. Take these back wing panels, lift them up like that, and once again do the same thing like that. Now we want to take the pterodactyl head and you want to bring that down. Now it does sort of snap in place when you do this, but it's not like a real satisfying click or anything. It's just, you know, it is what it is, and I don't think it's going anywhere, but just give it a good push in and it'll slot in good enough. Now you saw the head reveal that we got when we did that, so we're just going to leave that alone for now. You're going to open up this panel on the arm, just like that. Take your thumbnail and push in on that bit. So just pull the fist out, collapse the panel again. You can bring the arms down like that, turn it around so you got the hinge facing out. Do the same thing on the other side. And we're almost done, and at this point you can really do whatever you want with the wings. You can put them more like the video game where you can kind of put them straight back, then kind of angle them up like that if you want to. For me, I kind of like to put them back and do one of these deals where you kind of accordion his wings like that. I also kind of like to put him forward too. So really, it's really completely up to you how you want to position his wings. At this point, you're ready to stand him up, pose him up, and there is not Swoop in his robot mode. And this guy looks absolutely wonderful. Let's take a closer look. The more time I spend with this guy, the more I think this is one of my favorite purchases of the year. And that says a lot. You know, he's small. Know that going into it. And we'll do a size comparison here to a deluxe figure and Grimlock here in a minute. He's a tiny guy, but he's full of so much detail in robot mode. His face kind of closely resembles Grimlock's a bit. He's got the same kind of mouth bit, or similar anyway. There is some light piping, although not a lot of light comes through, but you can see what they were thinking with the two bits on the sides there and how the light should go in and basically illuminate the face. Holding him directly in my lights, I got a little bit coming through, but not a lot, so there's not going to be much there. You actually get more still in the pterodactyl head because that's exposed to the light, but there's that. The amount of detail on this guy is really stupendous. Look at the side of the head where you've got the red and the black, and that was all visible when he was in his pterodactyl mode. You've got more of the kind of tannish paint up against the red, which looks nice. You've got black inside of here. Look at the little bitty things that they didn't have to do, like these red pieces inside of the arms. They didn't have to do that, but it's a nice touch that makes the figure look really nice. On the side of the arm, you've got lots of nice detail. More red paint there. Love this joint bit with the red around there, which almost looks like a cog or something that would spin around in a robot. More red paint detail down on the legs. Red inside here, that same kind of graded thing that you saw in his pterodactyl mode. Some more tan on the feet. You've got nice ankle pivot right here. Actually, I'm going to close that up. But you've got nice ankle pivot there, and that actually hides the little bit of hollowness on the back of the robot. There's nothing really hollow in this guy except for the back of the legs, but that flap hides it real nicely, so it's not like you're looking at a bunch of hollow junk on the figure. Articulation on this guy is wonderful. His head is on a ball joint that tips back. It's on a hinge, so you got up, down, all around. The wings themselves, you can move them up on a pivot. You've got the pin joint here, pin, pin. So you can do just about anything you want to do with these wings. His arm, you've got a joint right inside of there. Ratchet joint right there on his shoulder. His arm moves right there underneath his shoulder blade. He's got a hinge on the elbow. There's no articulation on the wrist, so there is that. You do have waist articulation, which wasn't, again, nothing that they really needed to do. That could have been a solid piece of plastic, and that's not part of transformation. But again, you can get some cool poses out of it. He's on what look like should be a ratchet joint here on the legs, but they don't ratchet. So, you know, there's that. You do have a little bit of ratchet right there in the knee, and then you've got another hinge right underneath that. There's no ankle pivot, so that could mess a little bit with posability, but not much. Now, the weapons themselves, you can see he's holding the sword there. There's lots of little pegs, so you can take the sword and the weapon, and you can actually put these inside of each other. So you've got that kind of thing going on. There's just a lot of different configurations that you can do with this. You can also take these little missile deals, and there's no launcher. Nothing comes out here. It looks like it's supposed to from the side, but on top you can see that's a single molded piece of plastic, so this isn't going to come undone. But you could take a sword, and notice that the sword has two pegs, and you could take a rocket launcher on each side of this and do something like that. There's a lot of different configurations. You can actually stick the other sword here. So there's so many different things that you can do. And then you could take that and put it in his wings, or any type of configuration that you can think of, you can do here with not Swoop. Now, I told you he wasn't very tall, so there he is next to a deluxe class figure. That's the Dinobot 2 Tribute Ratchet, and he's smaller. You know, he's got the little horn on his head that makes him look like he's got a bit more height, but he's a tiny little guy. Put him next to Voyager class Fall of Cybertron Grimlock, and well, that's what you get right there. So he is small. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. Grimlock is supposed to be huge, and Swoop is not the biggest character. These two fit very well. However, if you're thinking of putting this guy on a masterpiece shelf, he's going to look really, really tiny. So, you know, that's really up to you on where you want to put him and pose him up. You can see his sword next to Grimlock's. It's kind of similar. It actually looks a lot like that Ultra Magnus sword we got with the deluxe figure not long ago. I don't have that handy to show you, but it looks very, very familiar to me. So you've waited very patiently. What is my verdict? My verdict is, pick this guy up. He is an excellent figure. There are sites that you can get him fairly inexpensive. I picked mine up from Big Bad Toy Store. Not the cheapest place to get it, but, you know, they're a very reliable company. There are some others out there where I've seen them a good $20 or so less than the money that I paid for this. So look around and see if you can get a good deal. If not, for sure you'll find them, and no matter what you pay, unless you get too crazy, this guy is worth it. Again, he's one of my favorite figures of the year, and there have been so many nice figures that have come out in 2013. In this case, good things do come in small packages. Cool card, awesome figure, terrible instructions, highly detailed, small robot mode, Voyager-ish size pterodactyl mode, highly recommended. Thanks again for watching eBEFOREi video reviews. If you want to follow all of my other reviews, you can do so at youtube.com/eBEFOREiNet. You can catch me on Facebook at facebook.com/eBEFOREi. And if you want to send me a tweet, you can do so. I'm at eBEFOREiNet. Thank you so much. Hope you're all having a wonderful holiday. Spend more time with your family. Put down you actually watch more of my videos. Then spend more time with your family. And we'll see you back here real soon.